Welcome to another episode of Not for the Weak-Minded. Now today we're going to watch the series, part one of it, 1989, the year that made the modern world. And this is a 6-part series, and so we will be watching the whole lot, and I will be doing added commentary. But what they have to say in this series, which was made this year, should again make you question your own existence. And so let's just get into it.
In 1989, the world was in a great shifting of powers.
In Afghanistan, the Afghan Mujahideen, supported by the United States, defeated the Soviet army.
The wall came down, and we did not anticipate the total implosion of the Soviet Union.
In 1989, the collapse of the Iron Curtain, coupled with the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan, signaled the decline of communism and the waning days of the Cold War.
Those Mujahideen who went to Afghanistan realized, wow, we did not only defeat the Soviets who invaded Afghanistan, we destroyed the Soviet Empire.
But the devastation left behind stoked a new global conflict, a conflict the U.S. was not prepared for.
Let's stop it there. Let's rewind some time, and I will do this in documentary form eventually, but the history books have not told you the truth. The Catholic Church, through their secret societies, has, with their corrupt organizations, funded these terrorist groups. But they're not, often they fight people who are actually trying to fight for their country's resources rather than be anglicized by the global agendas to become, so that everyone around the world believes in a lie that is basically going to get us all killed, because we have literally forgotten the ancient traditions, we have forgotten, cultural heritage, what's been passed down to us for thousands of years through tribes. And so in the 1500s up to today, the Catholic Church has created this scenario because they are not Christian. They are satanic. And so, how to put it this way, they want a world empire, but they tried through force and they failed. And now they're trying a different tactic. This time they're trying to use their money and their wealth and their institutions to, by working all together as well, rather than fighting each other for power, to basically emulate the technological creation. That is their ultimate agenda. And so it's took them a long, long time from their plans in the 60s, which you can look at, the declassified military project files, to what we have today. And this has been written about, even how these organizations and the Catholic Church have put nation against nation. So the Muslim religion itself was actually created by the Catholic Church, just like the Catholic Church has used ancient knowledge. Now this is the important part, and then twisted it for their own way and agendas, while inverting the truth about reality with their lies about everything, all their false principles. And so this has a lot more to do with global domination by a small group of people that literally hate everything to do with this reality. They hate you. They don't even want you to know how you exist. This is how bad it is. And people are walking around, and including myself, I went to school. You've got to bear in mind that I have deprogrammed myself from the things that you have learned. And often the television does do it, but it's also doesn't do it. You have to read between the lines, and so this is what I'm trying to do by showing you how to do it.
We said, okay, mission accomplished, see you later, you sort it out.
Gradually, extremism grows and grows.
Today, the West is constantly engaged with violent factions around the world. Aggression that events 30 years ago helped fuel.
What we did back in 1989 in Afghanistan resulted in what we saw in downtown Manhattan on 9/11.
No. Let's go back. Just a split second. Okay. Explosions being planted by, let's call them Mossad artists, right? And the fact that Building 7 went down with no supposed plane being hit on it shows that this whole thing about the Twin Towers was planned in advance for them to literally invade 7 countries in 5 years, or the other way around. I think 5 countries in 7 countries in 5 years. And essentially what you've got to ask yourself then is who or what people or organization or institution is in control of the military complex of America. Then you got to ask yourself, well, who's in charge of the military complex of Britain? What about Germany and France and Israel? Well, people, that is Zionism that controls our resources. We have no say because our government is paid off by Zionists who now have literally got a plan that goes way, way beyond even me trying to describe the deception about reality. It's beyond most people to understand. So please just keep watching. I'll show you how they use the television, their lies.
What we saw in downtown Manhattan on 9/11.
And no one knows when this war will end.
Also, direct energy weapons, cloaked craft, and the Gulf War. They had direct energy weapons in 1991 in the first Gulf War, and they were using them. So people, please see that the technology they had then are still around today. In fact, they've even got much, much, much more deceptive technologies in low Earth orbit.
This is not a fight that we're going to win in a decade, much less a few years. The threat of Islamist extremists is generational.
So you hear that from his mouth? This is a generational problem. This is a societal problem, and this is a religious problem which was created by our common enemy to put colour against colour, to put people against people, while lying to them about themselves and how this reality even works. And so this is it. This is why things are going to escalate, why the continual agendas of the Catholic Church through the Muslim religion in our country is going to cause a problem. And that is why you need to wake up right now to see that it is not the regular Muslims, but the elite that control the religion that is going to use the television to bring hate, to bring fear, to bring a civil war between religion. And unfortunately, they're preaching love and tolerance in these days when, you know, you should love everything, and that's right, love is the answer. But you got to realize that the people that are telling you these things are the most evilest people on the planet that are lying to you while using the truth again to get away with mass genocide. Secondly, this as well as going back to the Muslim religion, the Queen is supposedly the prophet of Muhammad, ancestor, and so you don't think that they're going to use this to brainwash the other Muslims, the regular Muslims, because the other things it says in there about, oh, there's only one religion, which is theirs, and that anyone else that stands in their way, well, guess what? They're going to get killed. Now that is not from an extremist book. That is from the book itself, because the Catholic Church writ it. You got to understand how they have used ancient knowledge, the truth of the creation, to divide your mind about reality, to divide your mind against people, divide your mind against other races with the television.
White truck, 3 o'clock, Johnson. We're gonna push it. We're gonna push it out of the way. Get out! Get out!
For many years now, the war on terror has raged.
Okay, tragic as that is, absolutely a tragic loss of life and a waste of life. The things what we're doing to people is nothing in comparison. We are bombing indiscriminately, and that doesn't matter if they're carrying a weapon or not. These military people, have rules, i.e. you can't shoot being shot upon, and unfortunately they know the risks to war. They're on the ground. They signed up for it, and that is very unfortunate. It is a sad loss of life. However, the reason why they are there, the occupation, has everything to do with destabilizing these nations to then cause mass migration issues, which is what we see today, where, guess what? Millions of Muslims are unethically and treated poorly in these prison camps across Europe. You really don't think that this is not going to be spun in the news by certain agendas, which is going to turn the regular Muslim people against this? Against the Western, literally, because against Europe, against the people of Europe. This is why I'm trying to warn Muslim people as much as this agenda as the Christian, as in anyone else, because this is the plan. They literally plan to culturally overthrow Europe with the Muslim religion, using the television and all this which has gone on through history, and again using truth and lies to brainwash the masses, to fight each other.
But he's okay.
Fine, now stretch out.
I do not blame the soldier for doing his job. I blame the people that sent the soldier to do the job in the first place. As in, I could have been here. I went for the military, and let's be honest, I'm highly glad I didn't know I had a kidney problem, because I'm fighting against this. I'm fighting against the occupation. I'm fighting against our forces being controlled by Zionism. Our bombs being used by corrupt, evil institutions at the core of our society that have complete control over every bit of our lives in this country. Tell you what, if there was any one country in the world, in the earth, that could absolutely goes against everything the Catholic Church would ever create, and to topple their plans, is bloody this one.
But the enemy isn't an evil empire or a rogue state. This is a fight against Islamic extremists, a complex group of combatants.
Okay, stop. Who trained these combatants? It is a guerrilla warfare, and they have funded both sides. Now, this is where you have to understand about the between the signs and symbols in your in plain sight and the colours. You know, the red and the blue. Politicians, the red and the blue. You know, it's everywhere, and that has to do with them manipulating both sides of reality. They control certain aspects of all of our lives because they have put themselves from the top down into everything.
With a collective goal of changing the world order.
So we're on that. Collective goal of changing the world order.
State. This is a fight against Islamic extremists, a complex group of combatants with a collective goal of changing the world order.
Okay, the Islamic peoples, according to that, is going to change the world order. By whose order? Zionism's order.
The U.S. military suffered one of the worst battlefield tragedies in several years.
3 U.S. helicopters were shot down by rocket-propelled grenades.
Early this morning, bombs exploded outside 2 of our American embassies in Africa.
The Navy is losing hope of finding...
Did they bomb them buildings? I think they did. No terrorists bombed those places. They are the terrorists, you see? Because 9/11 was not Bin Laden, who was from Saudi Arabia, which is why you need to see the connections to Saudi Arabia. Not Afghanistan, which is where he wasn't from. He was from Saudi Arabia. So 9/11 was, and it should be well known, not terrorists, but terrorism by the government in order to create more terrorism. So who has been giving Saudi Arabia all the money? Well, Zionism have, isn't he? You know, who's got the first robot citizen? Saudi Arabia?
Any more survivors from Thursday's attack on the USS Cole.
And we have a breaking news story to tell you about.
Lastly, who planes and bombs are being used by Saudi Arabia right now? I'm going to do another documentary. 95%, it's not my words, theirs, are BAE system. The 5% is the pilots, which are Saudi. Also, if you want to do a bit of research, look up the gates of Apollo, please, for 9/11.
Has just crashed into the World Trade Center.
And then you'll see the connection to why the moon landings are a hoax.
Less than a month after 9/11, the United States and its allies responded with force.
This was a pre-planned operation well in advance of 9/11.
The military action would begin in Afghanistan.
Reloading!
The place where many of the seeds of the 9/11 attack had been planted. Not in 2001, but in 1989.
Lastly, the Iraq War. Now, where to begin? A lot of these wars have to do with, yes, conquest, and some of it oil. A lot of it has to do with the destruction of ancient sites, because they are trying to destroy everything to do with creation, and that has to do with the pyramids and all the ancient structures around the world that is frequency devices built by ourselves in the time of the Golden Age, and where truth rests. And so at first they went to these sites and they took all the information, like, you know, the pyramids of Giza and the library of Ashurnipur, and they used that knowledge against us, you know, and they went and looked for the Babylonian culture. And this is where you got to understand history repeating itself today, and how this relates to Revelation and their plans to, you know, so that we can wake up everyone to their plans.